Hi, and welcome to this week's episode hosted by Gray and Mark Law of St John's Health and Fitness and Mark Elm of Leeds Beckett University, where we take training theory and science onto the gym floor.
Right, hey up everybody, welcome back to the Yorkshire Fitness Podcast. We've got a bit of a change in setting today. As you can see, we're out at gym, me and Matt. We've decided to brave the cold, and we've got his good mate Elm right here with us. He's in the studio. So we've all got together for a change, so we thought it'd be quite interesting. So on to today's episode. We are on to episode 12. Episode 12. We are going to recap, we're going to complete our habits talk today. That's what we're going to discuss. So it's like number 3 of the habits sequence.
Yeah, that's it.
Third and final one of the habits. So we'll just go a little bit deeper again, complete most of the book, James Clear book on it that we've kind of Atomic Habits. So hopefully, if you've listened to the first 2, which we've just been discussing now, episode 3 and 7, hopefully if you've picked up any kind of things that highlighted to you that you've been doing wrong, mistakes, things that you might want to correct, we can help you a little bit more on how to put some structure in place to get over them. So that's us. That's today's episode. It's going to be 30 minutes long. We're going to really try hard because we've been creeping up in time a little bit.
We have, yeah.
We'll crack straight on. No further ado. Let's go. Who's up first?
Go, you're right.
You've been making notes on all.
I know I am, but you know what I mean. So, but where do we want to start? So we're starting with the 3rd and 4th laws of the habits on it.
So the book is based on these 4 stages of habit forming, either breaking bad habits that you want to get rid of or creating new ones that are aligned to what you want to achieve. So the first 2 were about almost creating some awareness, and then trying to think about what I would like to get into as my new habits, or ones I would like to get rid of. So the next phase 3 and 4 is really into like the building phase. So it's like the response and the reward stages of building a new habit, or the flip of it is to get rid of an old one.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, I think, in the previous 2 episodes were kind of, like I say, where were we going wrong? Or what things do I think would be really useful habits that make my life easier in either losing weight or gaining fitness or just generally being healthier? And then we gave some ideas about how we would go about doing it. But I suppose what we want to talk about today is how to make them stick.
Yeah.
How to make those habits become truly a habit that you don't think about, rather something that we choose to do.
Yeah. So it's like the final cog kind of in the wheel. It's kind of highlight A is you've got to highlight that you have got a bad habit that needs addressing. And then it's how do you bring the small little things. That's what we spoke about last time, wasn't it? Not trying to do it all. You can't just change every part of your life and then stick to it. So it's like one piece at a time in it, and then the final straw, the final bit is how do you keep it?
Yeah. So it started off, didn't it? So what it's saying is it's like everything else that we do. It's getting reps in what we're doing. And sometimes we spend a lot of time thinking about what will be if it's a training program, what will be the perfect training program, what will be the perfect diet plan for me, or whatever it might be. The things when really half the time is if you just cook yourself an healthy meal, got that one out of the way, and then you move on and do the next one. It's about getting the reps, and that's about how you create new habits, because your old habits you've probably done hundreds and thousands of times in your life, haven't you? We all got everything that we do is all to make life so easy for ourselves. It's like what we said in first thing, as brains are still hardwired to do them little things without thinking and use as little energy as possible. And we're all what's the word for it? We're all designed to be lazy, aren't we? We're designed to be lazy by nature. We've got to be, but also we want to survive.
Energy kind of.
So it's trying to make it easier, and it's just trying to just get going. I said to before we're on about it, and it talks about being in motion or being in action. And being in motion is you're planning and you're looking into this and looking into that. When it's your action, without the action, you're getting nowhere. You've got to move forward. So. And I think we've always said that about people training, haven't we? Most people, they just need to do a little bit more, don't they? It isn't about having a perfect training program coming in and we'll be able to design this thing for you. Most people just need to do a little bit more and make it so that and then it's up to us then to make it,
consistently,
but
like
that's it.
consistency over intensity. That's what kind of what we've been talking
So then
about.
it's where we come to building it, isn't it? So it's making things, making it as easy as we can for the good habits, and making them as hard as we can for the habits that we want to break.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where we go. That's where we go with it. So
yeah, I think we've spoken over the last 11 episodes so far. We mentioned environment, huge amount. And the environment you can create can make those, talk about having the number of steps. So the number of steps to do something you want to do should be as few as possible. And the number of steps in the way of doing something that you don't want to do is as many as possible. So let's say you don't want to be on your mobile phone at night. We talked about sleep and how that could be sleep. It could be a cause of stress. It's like, I'm not paying attention to my family and kids and that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my mobile phone, I'm going to take it upstairs, put it on charge in some kind of cupboard or drawer or something. If I want to check my phone, I have to physically leave the room I'm in with all my family in it, and then I have to go upstairs into the cupboard or drawer where I've put it on charge to look at it. Like, all of a sudden, that Twitter message that I've just got, or I don't even know if I've got it or not yet, I might have a Twitter message, or I don't know, I can leave it alone there. And if it becomes important, I'm prepared to go through those steps. But actually, most of the time, it's not that important, or it can wait until the next time I need to use it. Yeah.
So that's taking the kind of problem in a different way. Like last time we just spoke about simple things like your biscuit tin, where like keeping your snacks away from the kettle. But like your mobile phone, you can't just say, well, I just won't buy a mobile. I won't buy biscuits is different saying, well, I won't buy a mobile. We've all got a mobile phone, haven't we? So that is like a similar thing, and getting it out of your way and making it more difficult so you can't just walk past and just tap it.
Yeah, and then finding something that you do want to do, and then how many steps are currently in my way to get to that thing. So we talked about making an investment in something that's proactive. So mentioned like a rice cooker. If I want to eat healthily, you might say, well, I eat a lot of chips. I'm going to get rid of chips and eat rice because that's the healthier version of things for me to eat. You may or may not be, you might go a different way altogether. But I'm going to buy a rice cooker. If that rice cooker sits in the back of the cupboard, and you have to climb over like 1,000 pieces of Tupperware and all sorts of other things to get out.
Tupperware.
We've all got a Tupperware cupboard. You tell me you've got a Tupperware cupboard.
I know, but is it called Tupperware anymore? I remember my mum used to get Tupperware.
What else would it be called?
I don't know. Just a container.
Generic plastic.
Just a plastic box.
Our Tupperware cupboard is very untidy.
And how stressful is that Tupperware cupboard?
Yeah,
one thing comes out, the whole fucking thing comes out.
It's a
So actually, if that rice cooker is behind the generic plastic container, because
no, I've got a problem with Tupperware. Just reminded years ago.
I'm not going in that cupboard for that thing because I'm not having all that crap fall out on me. So you've got lots, and then have to put it all back again. Like, well, I'm not doing that, so I've got chips again.
Very true.
So you've got to think about kind of how you've manipulated your environment, but also the number of steps in the way. And then things like we talked to the ones about the 2-minute rule.
Yeah.
So if you want to achieve something, and let's say we're going to go for a marathon. Like I want to run a marathon. Not about the time, I want to run a marathon.
Still.
So you say, well, that's a massive thing to undertake. If you're trying to build habits around that massive thing, sometimes it can be daunting. And when I talk to students a lot of time, I get this because I don't know where to start. I've got this dissertation to write, and it's too overwhelming to start. So the 2-minute rule basically is I'm going to do something which is about doing something for 2 minutes alone. And actually what you do after the 2 minutes is irrelevant. You might do it for 3 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour or only those 2 minutes. So it might be that I'm going to go and put my gym kit on. Okay, getting changed might only take me 2 minutes. But once you get your gym kit on, the process of putting that gym kit on actually then spurs you to do something else. So every day I'm going to go at 7:30 in the morning, wherever it is I'm going to do, or 7:30 at night, whatever time you put aside, I'm going to put my gym kit on.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And then the other thing you mentioned about was breaking inertia. So actually, once I've got past that first hurdle, I've started to become inaction. I've broken that inertia of life, and I've started something. So then you put it next to the door. Right, I'm going to put my gym kit on, and it's actually next to the door. So it's not actually hard for me to go out of the house to go and do some training, because actually I put my gym kit on, which is the habit I'm trying to build, and that's next to the door. So I'm talking about habit stacking. So I put, right, okay, I can now leave the door because it's just there.
Yeah.
I'm not having to go through anything, do anything else. It's just there.
That goes into where it says, and all, doesn't it? It's like every decision you make, it gives you a little fork in the road.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So like one decision, so you put your gym kit on, your day goes that way. You don't put your gym kit on, your day goes that way. Because usually when you've been to the gym, most people, when they've had a good workout, they all say, I'm not going to eat shit now for the rest of the day, because otherwise I've undone everything that I've just worked out. Whereas if you haven't been to the gym, I'll leave it for today and I'll start again tomorrow. So they eat shit again for the rest of that day.
Yeah.
And that's just a simple example, but that's how your day branches out, doesn't it, sometimes, just from that one decision that, you know what I mean, gym kit, not gym kit. And it could be that. It could even be start of your breakfast. You have a bad shit breakfast, think, well, I'll leave it for the rest of the day.
Let's start all back to sleep. You had a bad night's sleep.
Yeah.
You wake up going, I can't be bothered. I'm craving the sugary, sweetest thing. And because you've got those negative hormones, you eat a lot of it, and then you go, well, bollocks to this. I've eaten this, I feel like rubbish. And then you compound each bad decision with the next one. And then I was watching like an Horizon BBC documentary quite a few years back about genetics and diet and fat loss and things. And they talk about catastrophe theory, which basically says that once I've tipped over, made one bad decision, I go, I'll bollocks it, I'll make lots. Like, what's the point having one slice of cake when I can eat the whole cake? Well, I might as well. I'm having a bad day today. That's okay. I'm having a bad day today. Tomorrow will be a different day.
Yeah.
So rather than having one bad decision, I'm going to have 10.
Yeah.
Or make it one small bad decision to one big bad decision. And it kind of snowballs from there. So about having those inertia moments really helpful.
No, I'm just going to say, so we need to get on to the, like you said, the 2-minute rules and the different things, and then making it so that there's some kind of reward, like also the reward things that are doing you, are sticking to your good habits. Because also what it's saying is, which is true, we've talked about this, which one were we talking about this might not have been habits, but how we're hardwired, aren't we? We're still in the thing of survival, we've still got all them things.
Yeah, I think
it goes back to even the SAS guy down at Gaz Bamford.
Yeah.
And we're still hardwired from thousands of years ago for survival, aren't we? Yeah. So, you know, like all these things that we're doing, and most of the things that give you instant pleasure that we're wired to get, usually to, you know, like, so people who smoke, I don't smoke, but even drinking and all these things, the negative consequences of having a drink or smoking or eating shit, you don't get fat from one bad meal, do you? It's like down the line and time up on time again, but you don't get thin and look in good shape from one good gym session and one good meal. So the reward, but you get a bit more pleasure from shit food, don't you, or whatever it might be. And that's what you've got to fight against. So it's about trying to build in some pleasure and building in the bits that you're wanting to.
Absolutely. You come up with gym paradox.
I have.
Talks about there's two parts of the human brain. There's obviously within each section very, very complex individual parts, but two basic parts: the limbic, kind of almost kind of ancestral, primitive, emotional brain that all animals have, and then humans are a bit different because we've got this frontal cortex. This is the logical thought process, human computer type approach, and they're at odds with each other. One wants to make emotional, rash decisions in the moment. That's the limbic brain. That's the chimp, as he calls it. Then you got the computer brain, which is much more logical thinking and planning. And if the chimp gets out of this cage, he wants to make emotional, rash decisions in the moment. If you think about that chimp in the wild, he's dealing with life and death threatening situations all the time. So that's what that chimp is geared to do. He isn't geared to thinking about what happens if I don't pay my mortgage in 6 months' time, or I'm going to invest in stocks and shares or not. That is not a thing for 99.99% of species on the planet. We're the only one that has this need to plan in the future. We're fighting against our biology. We're fighting against all those things that exist in the world to fight, to keep us being emotional. So when we start to plan ahead and think, we are doing something that we are really only recently evolved to do. I mean, last couple of 100 years. Before the industrial age, it was like literally you found your food, you ate your food, and then the next day you repeat the process. And it's only been the last few 100 years we've had to change. So from an evolution point, that's kind of a blink of an eye. So if we think we can just suddenly stop that emotional response to things, we are sadly, we're going to be wrong. We're fighting against the biology. But we can trick it, we can play around with it. So the reward system is, right, how do I have an instant daily reward for something that I've done that builds into something which is much more longer term and planning ahead? And it doesn't, and the trick here is not to have the reward thing, which is a trip up or a trip hazard. So this is where the cheat meal is a fucking nightmare. Like, I want to lose weight, I want to get fitter, get lean, drop body composition. So every other day I'm gonna have a cheat meal because I'll be really good. Like, no, you're always going to fall back into the same trap. But you've got to kind of think, what is rewarding to me? So the amount of times I've gone for a run where I didn't want to do because I was on the Strava challenge. It's like run a 10k in May. It's like it's now the 29th of May and I've run a 10k. And pissing it down outside. I have to go. Strava says so. If you've got your Apple Watch, you're closing your rings. Like, actually, there's loads of tools now that give you those external rewards, and actually then having that, it talks about having the an accountability. What a buffoon! What a buffoon! Accountability. So if you then actually publicise that streak on, say, social media and use it for your own good, if you then don't achieve it, you're not going to get that. So, like, you're not going to have loads of people going, "Oh, well done, you've done 30 days in a row, brilliant, well done." And that's, if that's what you want, that's what you find rewarding. Use that to your advantage. Marking things on a calendar.
Say there were even that one there, marking it down. I'm going to say that because didn't that bloke use that as an example, didn't it? It was just to have that thing where every time he made a call that he had to make, he used to get a paperclip from one jar and put it into another. And when jar were full, he knew he'd done enough work to make these calls. He had to make so many calls in a day. That was one of his little reward things. He used to sit that. And it's just little things, isn't it? We all get it's that that dopamine hit in it, like people getting likes, whatever it might be, all them little things that we get, them little likes, them little dopamine hits from throughout his day, you know, like, and this is where social media's gone shit with it, because this is what we're looking for, this is what people are looking for all the time, but you've got to try and bring it in and, like you said, use it to your advantage. If putting a little tick against a thing and seeing it on a chart and thinking, shit, I've just trained 30 days in a row, I've just eaten well for 30 days in a row, and that's a reward, isn't it? And then if you can give yourself some kind of reward then at the end of it, that don't go against what you're doing by having a big cheat meal, you've just got to try and come up with something on them lines.
And I think what happens is somewhere on that journey, the need for external reward drops away. And it's the process that becomes rewarding, just fulfilling the process of training and eating right and holding yourself accountable. That becomes addictive. That becomes something that you can't not do, and that's when we get into those habits.
And hopefully, within 30 days, when however long 6 days, you'll start seeing a little bit of change, and then that spurs you on even more, doesn't it? So that's the other side of it, and all, because you're not going to see it on day one.
No. So quite simply, what we kind of get, one of the main things there, what people, if you're listening, will be able to relate kind of to that is, the more, this is really like, just the basics of it, the more bad habits you've got, the kind of more bad habits that leads to, doesn't it? Really? Like we're saying, the drink, you know, like the drink, the lack of sleep, you know, like that. So generally bad habits lead to more bad habits, which probably do. How many people, if you're listening, having a beer, you will probably get a bag of crisps as well, won't you? Chances are, or you'll end up having a pizza.
You're not getting an apple.
No, you're not having an apple. You're not having a salad. You're not. No. Whereas if you are, then, but if you've been to the gym and then you go home and have a shake or you just have your water, you might feel like having something more healthy. Or like you say, you kind of feel, you do get that sense of reward, don't you? From a training session, you do. And a lot of people come in that like they do the early morning sessions and they say it sets me up for day then. I know I'm not going to go, you know what I mean? It'll keep me focused for the rest of the day because I don't want to kind of let myself down. So that is a really good habit to be getting into, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more you're going to stick to it, either because it comes automatic. It's like everything. What is it? You know, like it's like rewiring your brain, isn't it? To be doing that thing. If it becomes automatic, it's like we get pissed off, don't we? If we haven't been if we haven't trained in a day, if you don't get your training session in, even if it's just a 30-minute training session, at least you've done whatever you've got to do. But that's just because it's part of what we do. And
it's easy for us.
It's easy.
It's one hour day to get that in. So any other tips then for somebody who's thinking, right, I've got certain habits, any other, what else can I know, let's use the mobile phone as an example. What else is there? What?
So I think what you got to think about is it's a bit of a catch-22. If you're in a negative lifestyle at the moment, like you want to train, but then you wake up because you've had bad sleep, so you don't want to train. So it's like, where do you want to start? Where do you see which habit is like the linchpin that's going to cause the most damage, or by getting rid of it, cause the most good. So we talk about sleep being so important. If you think, right, if I was to wake up every single morning feeling better, that might mean I could go and do some training. Right, so what sleep habits have you got that's stopping you from getting better sleep? And then, so that's what I would start first, is going, right, if I'm in a negative lifestyle and all my lifestyle is preventing me from getting where I want to be, that's number one thing, is like, where am I going to focus my attention? Because we spoke about, you can't attack everything all at the same time. You can't eat better, you can't train right, you can't sleep better, all simultaneously. You'll burn out and everything will fail. So just be kind of simple. So in terms of simple advice, if I was going to pick, say, using my mobile phone before sleep, because that's stopping me going to sleep, and then I'm eating bad food in the morning. So let's kind of keep on track with what we mentioned before. So I'd have a kind of a plan from beginning to end about starting off getting rid of a bad habit and then forming a new one, and how am I going to build up the number of repetitions, as Mark said, so it's automated. So first one is like, what am I going to do? Be really clear about what it is that you're going to do, and then think about, right, how do I create my environment that means that is likely to happen? So talk about the number of steps. So if I'm on my mobile phone at night and I'm messaging people, I'm on social media, I'm responding to everything, and then I'm like, why am I trying to sleep? I'm going to stop doing that. So how do I create my environment to make that as hard as possible? We have to make it attractive. So what am I going to do instead? Because there's nothing worse than saying, I'm going to get rid of that habit and then there'd be like a gap, a void. So what are you going to do in that time that you would normally be on your mobile phone? Because if you're bored and thinking,
looking upstairs.
Yeah. Like, plan for that. It's like, that's not kind of by surprise. If you spend 35, 40 minutes, an hour and a half on your phone before bed, and you suddenly have not that time anymore, what's going to happen instead? So I'm going to have a plan for that. I'm going to make that habit hard. So if my plan isn't working, and so I'm going to read a book or do something else, and that's not working, I still have to go through a lot of steps still to get to my phone. Then have a habit tracker. And to make it clear and visible, so I'll put a calendar on the wall, something like that, where you physically go and tick off every day. And at the end of 7 days, 14 days, a month, have some kind of reward, which is positive, something that is appealing to you, but also rewarding. So it's not going to be counteracted. I'm going to buy myself a new mobile phone if I go 30 days without using the mobile phone, because that's not, I'm going to hijack myself. It could be where I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go somewhere for it. Whatever you find appealing, find attractive, that is helpful, and have that as something that you decide at the beginning. But if I get to 30 days of not using my mobile phone after, say, 9 o'clock or whatever time of day you set, that's what I'm going to do. And then tick off every single box as long as it works. So you've got a plan about how you're going to go about doing it all the way through.
It's goal setting, isn't it?
I think
it's a different way of going. It might be a different outcome, but you're not setting yourself a goal to achieve a certain job status or get somewhere in a gym or anything in your life. But it is you have to set that goal, then, don't you, where you want to become, where you want to be in 30 days, and put a plan together and how you're going to get there.
I think my two big ones are just keep it simple to start with. Make it a small change for your first one, and that's how simple that was. Make it easy.
Don't say keep it simple, stupid.
No, just make it easy. Do you know what I mean? Like small and easy to start with. That goes back to that. What's it called? John Berardi, and that when he always says, if you're planning on making a change and it scores less than 8 out of 10, or you've been able to thinking, like if you look at realistically and go, how do I score this? I've been able to do this for the next 2 weeks. And if it's if it's lower than an 8, make it easier. Because if realistically it's scoring less than 8, you're not going to stick to it, and then you'll just feel balled off with yourself for not getting it, and then you spiral back the other way again, don't you? So I think them too, but yeah, all them things then as well. But you still use your trackers, you still do all them little things and rewarding, but don't go, like you said before, you don't go and try and like reinvent your whole life in one day, because it ain't gonna go like that, is it?
So the plan of making it long term then is to set it for like kind
short-term
of
goals, which goes back to goal setting, doesn't it? Short-term.
If you've done that for 3 months, if you've done it for 90 days, then chances are the longer it goes on.
Yeah, if you've done that every day.
That is just going to form. That is going to be the new habit.
Yeah. The other thing I'd probably say is not something that you would do, but it's more how you would things like never miss 2 days. You might miss a day. You might miss a day, and that is sometimes it's out of your hands. So if you want to set a routine for having eggs breakfast every morning, I'm going to eat porridge every morning because I'm going to get rid of cornflakes and got porridge because that's better for me for whatever reason. And then you have to go to the out for the day. You're not in control of what breakfast available is the next day. That's out of your control. But the next day you are. But I'm not going to make the same. Yeah. I'm not going to break the habit 2 days in a row. Next day I'm taking control of that. Yeah. I'm back on it.
Yeah. No, that's bang on. Instead of starting again Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. So, unless it's Sunday, that's okay.
yeah. On Tuesday, I'll start Monday.
That's down the road. Starting again on Monday.
Yeah. So good one. That's it.
Yeah. Right, cool. I think is that all right?
Yeah,
I think that pretty much covers it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So again, from the habits point of view, I've been like listening because I haven't read this book. I've heard lots about it, and I've read a basic version of it, but I haven't actually read this Atomic Habits book all the way through. So it's been quite interesting for me as well, listening to these two, what their views on it are. So hopefully you've learned something from that, and that's really helped. I think it has. It just puts things into perspective a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's just to simplify it for me, it's just like you just got to set a goal, really, aren't you? And it's
you've got to know what you want to get.
Identify. So identifying it is the goal setting in. It's like, right, I want to do a double body weight back squat. You know what I mean? That is like I need to stop messing on my phone all night, or I need to stop eating as much shit, or stop drinking. That's the identifying of in it. Yeah. And it's how do you get there?
I'll go back in time 20 years and start again.
That'll be ideal. So that is.
Yeah. So I suppose the thing to mention now is we're going to have a new way of ending these episodes, that we're going to invite listeners and watchers, the YouTube people, to send us questions, quick fire questions we can answer in maybe a couple of sentences. So if you've got any questions that we haven't answered yet, or if you've got any ideas for new episodes that we haven't covered yet.
Well, we've got a couple of new episodes.
We've got 1 or 2 people throw some ideas out, which is nice to see. So we have a couple of minutes of quick fire questions at the end. Yeah. We've only just put that out there, so we haven't got anything today.
Yeah, I know, and I like yes or no answers.
Imagine if we were a live one and we're just sat there waiting for questions.
And going.
That'd be a bit awkward.
Not happening though, is there?
So that'll be good. That'll be interesting. So if you've got any questions, like I said, or ideas for future episodes, anything that you're really interested in, I think that we could cover. That'd be good now.
Yeah.
Sound all right? Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked the episode, we'd like you to share with us that on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter. You can listen again on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a rating and a review, and any comments would be more than appreciated. And hopefully you'll tune back next time for our next episode.
The Yorkshire Fitness Podcast.